Good morning, Carl. I mentioned we would return to Mowgli and his friends, and here we are. This from the second Jungle Book. We now enter Letting in the Jungle, Part One. This is the third chapter in the book, and we still have quite a way to go. Letting in the Jungle, Part One. You remember that after Mowgli had pinned Shere Khan's hide to the Council Rock, he told as many as would leave the Shawnee wolf pack that henceforth he would hunt in the jungle alone, and the four children of Mother and Father Wolf said they would hunt with him. But it is not easy to change one's life all in a minute, particularly in the jungle. The first thing that Mowgli did when the disorderly pack had slunk off was go to the home cave and sleep for a day and a night. There he told Mother Wolf and Father Wolf as much as they could understand of his adventures among men. And when he had made the morning sun flicker up and down the blade of his skinning knife, the same he had skinned Shere Khan with, they said he had learned something. Then Akela and Grey Brother had to explain their share of the great buffalo drive in the ravine, and Baloo toiled up the hill to hear all about it, and Bagheera stretched themselves all over with pure delight in the way that Mowgli had managed his war. It was long after sunrise, but no one dreamed of going to sleep, and from time to time during the talk Mother Wolf would throw up her head and sniff a deep snuff of satisfaction as the wind brought her smell of the tiger skin on the Council Rock. But for Akela and Grey Brother here, Mowgli said at the end, I could have done nothing. Oh, mother, mother, if thou had seen the black herd's bulls pour down the ravine or hurry through the gates when the man-pack flung stones at me. I am glad that I did not see that at last, said Mother Wolf stiffly. It is not my custom to suffer my cubs to be driven to and fro like jackals. I would have taken a price from the man-pack, but I would have spared the woman who gave thee milk. Yes, I would have spared her alone. Peace, peace, Raksha, said Father Wolf lazily. Our frog has come back again, so wise that his own father must lick his feet, and what is a cut more or less on the head? Leave men alone. Baloo and Bagheera both echoed, leave men alone. Mowgli, his head on Mother Wolf's side, smiled contentedly, and said for his part he never wished to see or hear or smell man again. But what, said Akela, cocking his ear to one side, what if men do not leave thee alone, little brother? We be five, said Grey Brother, looking round the company and snapping. I guess I'm back, Carl. I was just interrupted by a lovely call with you, and I hope that you enjoyed the call as much as I did. Anyway, we also might attend to that hunting, said Bagheera, with a little switch of his tail, looking at Baloo. For why think of men now, Akela? For this reason, the Lone Wolf answered. When that yellow chief's hide was hung up on the rock, I went back along our trail to the village, stepping on my tracks, turning aside and lying down, to make a mixed trail in case one would follow us. But when I had found the trail so that I myself hardly knew it again, Mang the bat came hawking between the trees and hung up above me. Said Mang, the village of the man-pack, where they cast out the man-cub, hums like a hornet's nest. It was a big stone I threw, chuckled Mowgli, who had often amused himself by throwing ripe pawpaws into a hornet's nest and racing off to the nearest pool before the hornets caught him. Asked of Mang what he had seen. He had said the red flower blossomed at the gate of the village, and men sat about it carrying guns. Now I know, for I have good cause, Akela looked down the old dry scars in his flank and side, that men do not carry guns for pleasure. Present, little brother, a man followed with a gun follows our trail, if indeed he be not already on it. But why should he? Men have cast me out. What more do they need? Said Mowgli angrily. Thou art a man, little brother, Akela returned. It is not for us, the free hunters, to tell thee what thy brethren do or why. He had just time to snatch up his paw as the skinning knife cut deep into the ground below. Mowgli struck quicker than an average human eye could follow, but Akela was a wolf, and even a dog, very far removed from the wild wolf, his ancestor, can be waked out of sleep by a cartwheel touching his flank, and can spring away unharmed before that wheel comes on. Another time, Mowgli said quietly, returning the knife to its sheath, speak of the man-pack and of Mowgli in 2 breaths, not 1. That is a sharp tooth, said Akela, snuffing the blades cut in the earth. But living with the man-pack has spoiled thy eye, little brother. I could have killed a whole buck while thou was striking. Bagheera sprung to his feet, thrust up his head as far as he could, sniffed and stiffened through every curve of his body. Grey Brother followed his example quickly, keeping little to his left to get the wind that was blowing from the right, while Akela bounded 50 yards upwind and, half crouching, stiffened too. Mowgli looked on enviously. He could smell things as very few human beings could, but he had never reached the hair-trigger sensitiveness of a jungle nose, and his 3 months in the smoky village had set him back sadly. However, he dampened his finger, rubbed it on his nose, and stood erect to catch the upper scent, which, though it is the faintest, is the truest. Man, Akela growled, dropping on his haunches. Buldeo, said Mowgli, sitting down. He follows our trail, and yonder's the sunlight on his gun. Look!" It was no more than a splash of sunlight, for a fraction of a second, on the brass clamps of the old tower musket, but nothing in the jungle winks with just that flash, except when the clouds race over the sky. Then a piece of mica, or a little pool, or even a highly polished leaf will flash like a heliograph. But that day was cloudless and still. "I knew men would follow," said Akela triumphantly. "Not for nothing have I led the pack." The four cubs said nothing, but ran down the hills in their bellies, melting into thorn and underbrush as a mole melts into a lawn. "Where go ye, and without word?" Mowgli called. "Shh! We roll his skull here before midday," Grey Brother answered. "Back, back, and wait! Man does not eat man," Mowgli shrieked. "Who is a wolf but Arrow? Who drove the knife from me for thinking me a man?" said Akela, as the four wolves turned back sullenly and dropped to heel. "Am I to get reason for what I choose to do?" said Mowgli furiously. "That is man. There speaks man," Bagheera muttered under his whiskers. "Even so did men talk around the king's cages at Odaipore. We of the jungle know that man is wisest of all. If we trust our ears, we should know that of all things he is the most foolish." Raising his voice, he added, "The man cub is right in this. Men hunt in packs. To kill one, unless we know what the others will do, is bad hunting. Come, let us see what this man means towards us." "We will not come," Grey Brother growled. "Hunt alone, little brother. We know our own minds. The skull would have been ready to bring by now." Mowgli looked to one to his friends, his chest heaving and his eyes full of tears. He strode forward to the wolves and dropping one knee and said, "Do I not know my mind? Look at me." They looked uneasily when their eyes wandered, and he called them back again and again till their hair stood up all over their bodies, and they trembled in every limb, all while Mowgli stared and stared. "Now," he said, "of us five, which is the leader?" "Thou art the leader, little brother," said Grey Brother, and he licked Mowgli's foot. "Follow then," said Mowgli, and the four followed his heels with their tails between their legs. "This comes of living with the man pack," said Bagheera, slipping down after them. "There's more in the jungle now than jungle lore, Baloo." The old bear said nothing, but he thought many things. Now Mowgli cut noiselessly across the jungle at right angles to Buldeo's path, till, parting the undergrowth, he saw the old man, his musket on his shoulder, running up the trail overnight at a dog trot. You will remember that Mowgli had left the village with the heavy weight of Shere Khan's rawhide on his shoulders, while Akela and Grey Brother trotted behind, so that the triple trail was very clearly marked. Presently Buldeo came to where Akela, as you know, had gone back to mix it all up. Then he sat down and coughed and grunted, and made little casts round and about the jungle to pick it up again, and all the time he could have thrown a stone over to those who were watching him. No one can be so silent as a wolf when he does not care to be heard, and Mowgli, though the wolves thought he moved very clumsily, could come and go like a shadow. They ringed the old man as a school of porpoises ring a steamer at full speed, and they ringed him as they ringed him they talked unconcernedly, for their speech began at the lowest end of the scale that untrained human beings cannot hear. The other end is bounded by the very high squeak of Mang the bat, which very many people cannot catch at all, for on that note all the bird and bat and insect talk takes on. "This is better than any kill," said Grey Brother as Buldeo stooped and peered and puffed. "He looks like a lost pig in the jungles by the river." "What does he say?" Buldeo was muttering savagely. Mowgli translated. "He says that packs of wolves must have danced round me. He says that he never saw such a trail in his life. He says he is tired." "He'll be rested before he picks it up again," said Bagheera coolly as he slipped round the tree trunk in a game of blindman's buff they were playing. "Now what does the lean thing do?" "Eat or blow smoke out of his mouth. Men will always play with their mouths," said Mowgli, and the silent trailers saw the old man light and puff and fill a water pipe, and they took good note of the smell of the tobacco to be sure of Buldeo in the darkest night, if necessary. Then a little knot of charcoal burners came down the path, and naturally halted to speak to Buldeo, whose fame as a hunter reached at least 20 miles. They all sat down and smoked, and Bagheera and the others came up and watched while Buldeo began to tell the story of Mowgli, the devil child, from one end to another, with additions and inventions, how he himself had really killed Shere Khan, and how Mowgli had turned himself into a wolf and fought again with them all afternoon, and changed into a boy again and bewitched Buldeo's rifle so the bullet turned the corner when he pointed at Mowgli and killed one of Buldeo's own buffaloes, and how the village, knowing him to be the greatest hunter in the Shawnee, had sent him out to kill this devil child. But meanwhile the village had got hold of Mesua and her husband, who were undoubtedly father and mother of this devil child, and barricaded in their own hut, and presently would torture them and make them confess they were witch and wizard, and then put them to death. "When," said the charcoal burners, "was they very much like to be present at the ceremony?" Buldeo said nothing would be done till he returned, because the village wished him to kill the Jungle Boy first. After that they would dispose of Meso and her husband and divide their lands and buffaloes among the villagers. Meso's husband had some remarkably fine buffaloes too. It was an excellent thing to destroy wizards, Buldeo thought, and people who entertained wolf children out of the jungle would clear the worst kind of witches. But, said the charcoal burners, what would happen if the English heard of it? The English, they had heard, were a perfectly mad people who would not let honest farmers kill witches in peace. Why, Buldeo, the head man of the village, would report that Meso and her husband had died of snake bite. That was all arranged, and the only thing now was to kill the wolf child. They did not happen to have seen anything of such a creature. The charcoal burners looked round cautiously, and thanked their stars they had not. But they had no doubt so brave a man as Buldeo would find him if anyone could. The sun was getting rather low, and they had an idea that they would push on to Buldeo's village and see the wicked witch. Buldeo said, though his duty to kill the devil child, he could not think of letting a party of unarmed men go through the jungle, which might produce the wolf demon at any minute, without his escort. He would therefore accompany them, and if the sorcerer's child appeared, well, he would show them how the best hunter in the Shawnee dealt with such things. The Brahmin, he said, had given him a charm against the creature and made everything perfectly safe. Well, I must say, Buldeo's turning out to be a right monster, being prepared to do that to an old couple who've lost their child, as well as lying and spinning tall tales about Mowgli. But I think he will come to regret it. We'll find out how Buldeo's story ends in the next two stories. See you tomorrow, Carl. Love you to pieces.